Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. It is May 7th, 2026, and this is episode 974. I'm joined today by Mr. John Lindeman.
It's great to be here, James.
Mr. Guillaume Vayette.
Good evening.
And Mr. Greg Lay.
No, hoy, hoy, everyone.
I don't know why I'm talking like this. I just slipped into this voice, and I'm just going to stay here for right now. We're going to start the show with some news. I'm sure you all know what news I'm talking about.
Is this, well, hold on. Is this the news that we've changed the boot up graphic for the show?
What? Did I miss something? What happened? What?
It's like Xbox. They've changed the boot up graphic for Xbox.
Did they really?
That's their big news this week. Yeah, they're making all these changes, man. People are getting Xbox email addresses. They're changing the boot up graphic for the Xbox. It's just crazy. So I was just wondering, if we had done the same.
Fuck. Yeah, I will change our boot up graphic. Yes.
Okay. All right. It's on the to do list. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. It's. I got to get the email addresses first. We've been fucking around with that for 20 years. We need to get
We're
on
going
that.
to change our email address to Xbox.com as well. RFN at
right.
Xbox.com. That's what it's going to be from now on.
That'd be really funny. No, this is the big news that came out this week, and I'm pretty sure John hasn't heard it, so I wanted to give it to him right out of the gate. This came out yesterday, this news story. John, I think you might have missed this one. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of there's a really dumb game that came out, or was ran through, involving a certain Long Beach rapper.
No, not that one. Not that one.
There was also
headline.
Some Nintendo Direct news, but please fill me in.
Headline: Atari acquires the rights up to first 5 Wizardry games.
I just saw that.
Parenthetical update 2. Why does this need 2 updates?
Yeah.
You saw what the update is.
I just read this.
Oh, I did. This is where we're getting to. Okay. All right. So are you aware of what the updates are?
Well, the update was that, what is it, DCOM or whatever? They own the franchise, but apparently Atari owns the rights to those 5 games.
Despite Atari's announcements that it had acquired, quote, the underlying intellectual property for the first 5 Wizardry games, Dreecon has said that Atari has not acquired the rights to the Wizardry intellectual property.
Yeah. It's an interesting splitting of hairs, but if you look at the games that... Well, I mean, the immediate question I had was, who is Dreecom? And it's pretty much the company that has been releasing Wizardry games completely under the radar for like the past 20 years in Japan.
Yes.
With very strange titles.
Update 2. Atari has provided Gematsu the following statement regarding its rights acquisition. Atari has acquired the full rights to the first 5 Wizardry games and the underlying intellectual property behind them, which are considered to be the formative Wizardry titles and universe with which fans are most familiar. Dreecom owns the Wizardry trademark. Atari collaborated with Dreecom on a remake of Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. The underlying intellectual property is the collective... I'm not even sure how you'd begin to pronounce that. It looks Welsh. Lylglgamyn.
Lilgamin? The legacy of Lilgamin? Yeah.
Universe in which the first 5 games take place. This includes the unique expansions and the continuously named characters, such as Wordna and Trebor.
Andrew and Robert. Don't go too crazy.
I love that their responses... The original 1 to 5 and the later Wizardry 6 to 8 are distinct universes with different underlying rights ownerships. So while Dreecom may own the Wizardry trademark and certain later rights, many of the character setting and lore elements and other expressive components most closely associated by consumers with the original Wizardry games are separately owned by Atari. There's a very real chance these fuckers at Atari, who just keep buying things nobody wants, got snookered and gave somebody a bunch of money under the auspices of, oh yeah, you're going to own the Wizardry franchise. Yes, buddy, you got it. This is all you. And that person had no rights to sell it.
That's possible, yeah.
That's going to be... could you imagine? You imagine?
Although I don't know about that, because really they are no doubt going to partner with Digital Eclipse to remake the rest of them, like they did with the first one.
Yeah, but if they don't have the rights to the name Wizardry...
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think that what that means
is... It's going to be a problem.
Well, I think they have the rights to those games so they can remake them, but they couldn't make any new games in the series. I'm assuming.
Maybe?
That nothing else would make any sense.
Trademark is usually related to marketing, though.
Yeah.
Which would be like, can they make a game and not call it Wizardry? Do they have to call it like Magic User Game?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the Japanese word for wizard is literally just magic user. It's just the word magic and the word use. It's amazing. And person. I love it. I love when that language gets weirdly descriptive and it's like, what's your word for automobile? It's automatic wheel.
Yeah.
Fuck, I guess. Yeah, you did it. Congratulations. What's train? Electric wheel. What if it's not an electric train? Fuck off. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Fine. You win. You win, crazy ass language. At least I don't have to memorize this shit.
Yeah, it just felt to me though like it was DreamCom selling off the games that it didn't really care about.
But like, DreamCom immediately put out a statement that's like, the fuck they did.
Yeah. Well, they obviously thought there was some sort of confusion, even though I don't really know why they would be so concerned with that. I guess more for the fans of the newer games, which are just basically gacha games, are they not?
I think so. But
they're like
at the same time, like,
yeah.
What if Atari didn't buy the franchise and thought they did and gave these people a bunch of fucking money? Oh, it'd be so good.
Yeah.
There's a real chance we get international litigation over the fate of Wizardry 3.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot even begin to describe how much this excites me. Like, it's just stupid. Some judge is going to have to rule on Wizardry 5 Heart of the Maelstrom.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be so good. These fucking FM Towns games, because that's what that game came out for.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty hilarious. FM Towns.
Well, the FM Towns is here. Somebody's going to have to bring an FM Towns into a Japanese courtroom and explain why this is important.
Yeah, so I guess that means we're going to get remakes up to Heart of the Maelstrom. Hey, why not?
Oh, I hope we get like a remake that's like 80% done and then the lawsuit drops and suddenly Wizardry 4 The Return of Wordna is on deep freeze until it comes back.
Wordna and Tobor. Trebor, sorry. My bad.
Trebor.
Yeah.
The Knight of Diamonds. All right, at least that's like vaguely a title that I can sort of lead. But Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord is a lot.
Yep.
And then 3 has that word I refuse to try to pronounce.
The Legacy of Little
Gamin.
Yep.
Little Gamin. Sure. Fuck it.
Yeah.
How do you say word? Let's see. Gamin. Sometimes Lil Gamin.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Sure. You know what? While the spelling looks Welsh, its most commonly anglicized pronunciation emphasizes the second syllable. Gamin. Uh-huh. Sure. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So yeah, that was the only news that happened this week. The only news that happened is Atari claimed it bought Wizardry, then said, well, not all of Wizardry. And then the people who own Wizardry are like, fuck, they did.
Well, there's clearly a split here between what people consider real Wizardry and some weird Japanese shit.
But I guess. I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
Like, whoa! I just, the relateds, people also ask, how do you pronounce O? That is the correct number of O's. People also ask, is the H in air silent? I guess I just sort of spoiled the answer to that one. People also ask, what is the correct way to pronounce the ? And how do you pronounce, I'm just going to say, German dictator of the 1930s and 40s full name? What? Google, what the fuck? How are those related?
It's interesting, too, because Wizardry, The Five Ordeals, that just came out on the Switch in 2025. So,
who was the publisher?
The publisher that's a great question. No, it would have been Dreecom or whoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. What the fuck? Like, I am...
There's just so many. Like, they have released so many Wizardry games in Japan. It is insane. And
there is... Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them.
Going back 25 years, they've released, like, a ton of games.
Yeah. I'm looking at the list. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of spin-offs, too.
Mm-hmm.
Wizardry Nemesis, the Wizardry Adventure. And then there's a game that came out in 2001 just called 8. It is Wizardry 8, but it is just called 8. You fucking lunatics. I love it. And those aren't the Japanese ones. The Japanese ones are the Gaiden ones.
Yeah.
Of which there are like...
After Surtech, the original Wizardry creator in the US, was dissolved, several semi-official games were created in Japan of varying quality and thematic elements. This was called the Wizardry Renaissance, and it aimed to rebuild the brand by agreeing to a certain worldview and quality standards to these semi-official Wizardry games. So, this is like the Kentucky Fried Chicken of dungeon crawling games in Japan, where it's just randomly incredibly popular for really no reason, no discernible reason.
So there is a sub-franchise in the Wizardry article where it's like breaking down the different sub-franchises. It's like Wizardry Empire, of which there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is one sub-series. And also the Gaiden, which is another one of the Japanese ones, was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The next sub-series is called Bussin Wizardry, as in like, yo, this wizardry be bussin'. Busin. What the fuck, Japan? Why did you make me say that? Bussin 0, Wizardry Alternative Neo. What? What the fuck does that phrase mean?
So, Yuji Horii drew inspiration from the Wizardry series.
Which is probably why it's popular.
Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
there it is.
and
there's the connection.
Along with 1986's Mugen no Shinzu, which is Heart of Phantasm, and the Ultima series of games. It meant this manifested as an Easter egg in one of his earlier games, the Portopia serial murder case in 1983. In a dungeon crawling portion of that adventure game, a note on the wall reads, "Monster surprised you." What? Even when we talked about Wizardry, I really did not know this. I did not know that it went this deep in Japan. That is just utterly fascinating to me.
No idea. That is actually kind of nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
another sub-franchise. Wizardry XTH, which sounds like it's a fucking cryptocurrency. There's 2 of those. Then we get to the series actually called Wizardry Renaissance, which is them going, guys, we are fucking this shit up. We have got to get this shit together. Wizardry Online Mobile, the first MMORPG adaptation of the franchise. Sure. Boyaku no Isan, which is Legacy of something. Legacy of Oblivion. Okay. And then Wizardry Labyrinth of Lost Souls, which is what I'm calling this current conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have reached a point where this is now the Labyrinth of Lost Souls segment of the podcast, but I am going to be sitting around with Yo, This Wizardry Be Bussin' as an episode title, because, like, shit. I don't think we're topping that today, and I'm just going to write it down. So yeah, that's the only news that happened today. Or yesterday. I guess. Oh, and Xbox got a new screen. You're right. You're right. I forgot that.
The changes.
The Xbox boot up screen. That
no new games.
See like
no new games. But
I like that they were like, we're going to talk about Project Helix, and then they didn't say anything about Project Helix that anybody gave a fuck about. So there's no news. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You got what a turning shit around. They get new email addresses, get the new boot up screen. Is the boot up screen good, John? Have you seen it?
It looks okay. I mean, it's the same logo in like kind of a green gel sort of shiny look to it. I mean, I don't know what to tell people at this point. I mean, all of this stuff kind of makes me laugh because I'm just kind of like, okay, like it's not even moving the deck chairs on the Titanic because like in theory you could move the deck chairs to like make space on the top deck for people to congregate for the boats to take them away. This is polishing the deck chairs on the Titanic. This is like, we're going to make these chairs look really fucking good when they hit the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Yeah.
I know it didn't sink in the Marianas Trench. Fuck off. I'm making a joke.
I mean, none of these changes are necessarily bad, but it's just, I find it funny because they're saying, okay, well, we're going to go back to bi-weekly platform updates or like UI updates or something like that. And I'm just like, man, like, who cares?
Nobody cares about your release cadence.
Or who cares? I mean, yes, the UI is hideous, but I mean, okay, fix the UI, but it doesn't matter if you don't have
80% of it's ads.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like also, who cares if you don't have any really good games to play on it? Like, this is the whole thing with Xbox. It's just, man, like, what I did is I looked back on Metacritic for the past 10 years, and and I was just like, okay, just very simple. I didn't try to break it down at all, but I just counted the number of games that they have released in the last 10 years. And it's about 60 games.
Which is not much.
Only 5 of those have gotten a 90 or higher on Metacritic. 2 of those were Forza Horizon games that you can now play on other platforms. The other one was Halo Master Chief Collection. And then the other one was like Penitent, I forget the other one. But it's like, if like 3 of those games are games that you can play on other platforms. So like, and yet Xbox is sitting here thinking that if they update their UI quicker or change people's email addresses or update the boot up screen, that's going to move the needle at all. It's like, what are you doing?
I think what they need is just a cocaine addiction. Like, just get that cocaine energy going, get them roll. Because like they're literally talking about their DevOps cadence.
Yeah, like. It's just so funny. It's just funny to watch.
You know, I was a lead engineer of a product team for like 10 years. When my DevOps engineers came around and they're like, "Hey, we want to change the release cadence," I would just look at them and go, "Cool, have fun," because I don't care.
Yeah,
the code goes out. The code goes out. It's fine. I've tested it. I don't give a shit. Like, do you think consumers care?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
It's
just do it.
But also too, it's like, yeah, we're making changes to the Xbox platform. The platform is not the problem. The platform is probably the most solid part of Xbox. To be honest with you. It's pretty good. Like, their online stuff is really solid. You know, the way that the games automatically install and all of that kind of stuff is really, really good. It's just the fact that there's no fucking games. Like, I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, like in the defense of my DevOps engineer, as the lead engineer, I probably should have fucking cared. I probably should have actually cared. I probably should have fought him on it just to prove I cared. But ultimately, I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because I knew the code was going out and I knew it was tested.
Yeah.
It was like, whatever.
They're just it just feels like they're fixing stuff that nobody has ever complained about.
Yeah, exactly.
And patting themselves on the back for it. And it's like, okay, guys.
Yeah,
sure.
In our case, they moved it from a Tuesday to a Wednesday release. And I'm sure they had a great reason. But I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care if it was Tuesday or Wednesday. Like, I just wanted to know that the changes was going out. Like, if they'd been like, we're changing it to once a month instead of once a week, I'd have been like, fuck no. Absolutely not. You're not doing that. Like, I want to make it every day. Let's negotiate back to once a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like, I'm not even sure I'd use the word floundering.
Yeah, I don't
This
know.
is Magikarp use struggle.
Yeah.
This is what this is. Magikarp has expired all of its splash moves and is now just down to struggle.
Yeah.
And it's hurting itself as it attacks you. It's it's weird, and I don't get it. And you're right, the platform probably is the hardware is really good.
Yeah, the hardware is good. Like that's not what I had any complaints about. It's 100% the content that I ever had complaints about with Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah, they over-indexed on games as a service. Which Sony had that same problem, but they also over-indexed on like purchasing games being replaced with essentially a subscription service, and I don't think it replaced the income they expected it to replace. I'm not saying anything revolutionary here, like you people know this.
Yeah.
I think they overvalued acquisitions as a methodology of growth, which is a valid way to grow your company.
Well, yeah, I think it's a valid way to grow your company, but I think what it did is I think it created more problems than it solved. It
absolutely did.
This is the thing. They looked at Xbox strictly as like what, like, you know, like I talked about, like I think their CFO used to be Amy Hood. And at one point, she came down with the whole, the Xbox business has to increase its margins. Or the Microsoft's Game Studios business, whatever has. And so that is when you start acquiring companies. But the problem is that you then set yourself up where you have to release games on other platforms, thus weakening Xbox.
Right. Like, it's the idea of additive growth. All right, we need to increase our profit. So if we buy other companies that are profitable, we will increase our profit. I mean, that is a technically true statement. If nothing else changes as a result of the purchase, you will increase your profit. Yep. You might not increase your profit margin because you're going to have new costs. I mean, but you probably will. But you won't increase your spending to profit ratio. You'll probably kill it because you spent a whole bunch of money buying these companies. Yeah. The challenge is, and we've talked about this when we talk about integrations, or acquisitions. Integrating companies into a larger infrastructure takes a shitload of work. Mm-hmm. And when you're buying these massive multinational companies that have existed for decades and trying to integrate them into the workflow of your massive multinational company, if you're just buying them and letting them do what they already do, it's here's the new boss, same as the old boss stuff.
Yeah.
It's mostly an HR exercise. You have to bring in people. You have to migrate them to your internal job codes. You have to install the Microsoft standard performance reviews, and you have to put them in the pay scale and all that shit. And that shit takes forever. Like, I don't want to underestimate what HR people have to deal with. That shit sucks. Especially if you're doing it at the scale of, I don't know, fucking Activision Blizzard. Mm-hmm. Activision Blizzard King. But if you're trying to actually integrate them to make them an additive to your enterprise, to like make them part of the ecosystem of the company and to have them contribute back in ways that are more than just the sum of the work that they output, i.e. bring them into the family, if you wanted to use Microsoft's crazy wording, and have them contribute in ways that speed up development of other projects elsewhere or contribute to products that outside their walls. Bethesda was also being really pushed to do this after the acquisition. That's a lot more of an active effort. It takes the centralized leadership being really hands-on and engaging with the unique cultures that will exist inside this other company. And you can do that. But if you're doing that with 3 other large multinationals at the same time, you can't do that. I don't care if you're Microsoft. It's too much because you have to try to create a hybrid culture that can allow both companies to benefit and to operate. And you can't, like, once you've sort of stabilized the culture, you could metastasize it to other acquisitions. But if you're trying to do like Bethesda, which is a huge company, and Activision, which is a fucking enormous company, at the same time, when Activision Blizzard hadn't even settled on an internal culture, which is a thing to keep in mind, get fucked. It's not going to happen. And so, their attempt to build a brand by acquisition, like, you can see the 1 + 1 is 2 math that they were trying to do. Like, we don't have the deep development resources of even a Sony, even after the cuts. So this is how we're going to try to, thread that needle. But functionally, they never actually set about making these companies part of their ecosystem. Mm-hmm. They acquired them and just were like, now you are Microsoft. You could see sort of the opposite when you go look at, like, speaking of a giant multinational company acquiring other giant multinational companies, Disney going through the belabored process of trying to bring all their acquisitions into the ecosystem and integrate them and, like, try to wire their DNA through these companies in a way that makes them compatible so senior leadership can look at them and sort of understand what they are, even if they're not necessarily, like, intimately as aware as they would be with internal studios or studios that they founded. So at least they're talking the same language. Microsoft didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
And so these companies just sort of continue doing their thing. Like, fucking, when did we hear about Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah. Who knows? But, I mean, but that's the thing, too. It's like, and these companies doing their own thing is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
As long as you don't care how that affects Xbox at all. Right.
But if this is your silver bullet to make Xbox a viable platform, it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. But at the same time, you've paid through the nose for these companies, and if you have them only making games for Xbox, then you're not extracting all the value out of them that you should be.
Or you're going to lose a shitload of money.
Yeah, you're just going to lose. Yeah, you're just going to lose a ton of money.
But then, if you don't have them make games exclusively for you, what is the value of having bought them?
Exactly. It's just it's a mess. It really is.
This is the sword of Damocles parable, except Damocles put the sword on the seat of his chair and not above his head.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to sit on it every time. Yeah. It's remarkable. So the Microsoft presentation, it was just amazing. But they absolutely got their shit eaten. All right, I guess we can stop. Fucking around now.
Yeah, but, I mean, do we want to go into the Nintendo news of the week? Because it's a big news week here.
That was, unless you're about to swerve me again, that was where I was about to go.
Not.
Okay.
My intent was not to swerve, but these are just some very juicy things that we can talk a lot of trash about, frankly.
Yeah. I was like, was there like a dumb Nintendo news story you were about to pivot?
You swerved me with the whole wizardry thing. I did not see that coming, but I did know about it. So
I mean, I had to when we bought this thing, and the person that you allegedly bought it from is like, "The fuck you did."
Yeah.
That's too good. No, this is the thing that you all expected us to start the show off with. We're here now, so we can bring Greg and Guillaume back into the conversation. Hello, gentlemen.
Yes.
Nintendo announced a Direct, and then 10 minutes later had the Direct. This is called the Starfox Direct.
Yeah, I didn't find out about this until somebody pinged me in the Discord.
I did.
And they're talking about, like, Snoop Dogg and Stranger Than Heaven and stuff like that, and talking about the Direct and stuff. And I'm just like, happening. What? I'm like, what? Okay, what is going on here? First off, why are you talking about Snoop Dogg? Second off, there's a Direct going on right now, and sure enough, there was.
RGG Studios' new game, Stranger Than Heaven, is set in the 1930s, like World War II time. They're not talking about World War II. World War II is not happening. Don't ask any questions. World War II is not canon to the Yakuza universe. World War II is very canon to the Yakuza universe. Yakuza 6 is all about World War II. And Snoop Dogg's in it. He's like the main character you don't play as. He's like your best friend. And it's the worst rendering of Snoop Dogg I've ever seen. I described him as looking like one of the Kaminoans from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
He's fucking terrible. He sounds awful. Truly RGG has maximized their Sega-ness on this one. So,
but then
be ready for that.
So what Nintendo Direct was announced?
Yes. All right. So Nintendo announced the Star Fox Direct yesterday. That would be Wednesday. And then 10 minutes later had the Star Fox Direct, which is definitely fastest announced to, no, because they had some of those mini directs they just fucking dropped. This was a announcement, I was going to say of a new game, but that would be a lie, of a new remake of Star Fox 64, making this, at a minimum, the third Star Fox 64, arguably the fourth.
Yeah. A top comment on YouTube was, hey, was Nintendo about F-Zero? Oh yeah, we're not going to make another F-Zero game because they don't have any new ideas for it. But then here's Star Fox 64 for the fourth time.
Yeah, well, it's more that Star Fox 64 is Star Fox for the second time.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
That's the real. You haven't had Star Fox 64 4 times because that doesn't make any sense. But the point is, Star Fox 64 is the first game in a lot of ways, and then that itself has been regurgitated for the 3D game. Zero is not an outright remake, but it owes an awful lot to it.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by 64 is the first Star Fox game.
In terms of story, it recreates the first game. The
Super Nintendo it's kind of a reboot. It's not a remake.
Yeah, you don't even have to touch Lilat Wars, whatever you want to call it. Like the N64 game, Star Fox 64, Star Fox 64 3D, this thing. That's 3 versions of it. If just this game, like if you are like,
but that's what I mean. Four is if you're saying the first game these are all iterations of the Super Nintendo game because.
But I've seen some people kind of act as if Zero was yet again Star Fox 64.
Zero is
it was another reboot,
not a remake.
It owes an awful lot to 64.
There are a lot. I would say it's less than a reboot because there are a lot of stages that are like, this is just that one Star Fox 64 stage, but you change the name of the planet. I'm not dumb.
Well, some of the planet names are just the same as well. I
mean, we still have the Independence Day chapter that's basically exactly the same. I'm like, you can't fucking fool me here.
No, so I mean, it's definitely covering a lot of the same ground and all that. But yeah, whether you would, it's not a remake in the same way this is, in that, but we're talking about stage layout staying the same and all that.
Yeah.
It's or indeed the 3D one, where of course, I mean, Star Fox 64 3D is so faithful to the N64 game that the point in which the enemies and environments like pop in is the same. Like the game logic is the same. It's where presumably it will be able to be different at least in that regard. But
it doesn't have in-person 3D voice chat or in-person voice chat, video chat, which is still one of the most I need the person to repeat what they just said to me at an E3 press event because I can't believe the phrase that came out of your mouth. Local video chat.
I feel like I would need to go and kind of refresh my memory, but we could go on and on about the weird things about Star Fox 64 3D, because apparently the team that made it was we could put online in this thing, and Nintendo was like, no, we're good.
No, I
that
assume
was the whole point of the video chat.
That feature was probably conceived more with the possibility of online play in mind, but then it was
just cut that feature it's video chat for the people you're sitting across from. I could just look at him. He's right there. I see him.
Yeah, but you're not. I guess you're not looking at the screen at the same time.
The absolutely vital. All eyes must be on Star Fox 64, as if I don't know the layout of those stages by memory at this point.
I guess I don't know what they even did for the multiplayer. Whether they had any new areas, there wasn't a lot to the multiplayer. Stages in 64, original, wasn't it?
They wanted you to be able to see the fear in your opponent's eyes as you shut them
now
down.
You can see it. Now you can see it because your opponent's a fucking VTuber. We'll get to that. All right, so they showed a trailer. Well, we got a little bit of Miyamoto talking about Star Fox and about the Mario movie again, and reminding you that it's still in theaters as of May 6th. Which was the funniest asterisk notice at the bottom of a video I've ever seen. Super Mario movie in theaters asterisk, and if you look at the asterisk, it said as of May 6th. I'm like, cool, thanks. So if you go there in 20 years and you're like, why is it not in theaters? The Nintendo YouTube said it would be in theaters. That's why. And then he talked about Star Fox a bit, and then they announced that we were. Did he use the phrase "new game" or did he just say that a remake of Star Fox 64? I can't remember how he worded
it. Like a new entry, it's just called Star Fox, something like that. It was not.
Yeah.
He did not telegraph that it was a remake. We all found out a little bit later, I think.
When it was the same.
When you started to get to the point with the actual voiceover, there was a sort of a lady narrator, and explicitly says, like, the stage layouts are the same, but the visuals have been radically, overhauled or whatever, that kind of thing.
He threw it to Koizumi, and I think he might have said it was a Star Fox 64 remake.
But that's where it became clear the kind of remake, you know what I mean?
Because again, a faithful remake.
You could kind of look at Zero as kind of a remake of Star Fox 64 in some ways, right? We live in an era where, you've got games like, the Resident Evil remakes, like 2, 3, and 4, which, could be quite different in terms of gameplay and stuff. It's not just like a better graphically. They could be really quite different from their source material gameplay wise, but they're recreating the scenario and the narrative. So,
right.
They've, when you say, when that voice says the stage layouts are the same, it's like, okay, I get it now. Like that this is exactly what this is. It's better graphics, and that's mostly gonna be it, right? Then as it goes on, it's like, okay, well, they're really kind of making a point of the more cutscenes, basically, more interstitial kind of segments to, embellish, what's happening.
You know what I always wanted? Star Fox with more video between me playing it. They nailed exactly what it is the franchise always needed. More time when I'm not in control of the game. For the first time ever, video briefings is how they described it. And my immediate thought was, why? And so we got to see the new designs for the Star Fox team. Which people have thoughts on. I think they look fine, but people I don't know. What do y'all think of these designs?
I mean, I think they're fine.
It was kind of. I thought it was kind of interesting because John Redden, he had he's had a couple of videos about Star Fox stuff. Obviously, in reaction to this, John Redden, of course, director of Nintendo World Report and Star Fox Authority. I don't mind saying. But he had one before, quite a few weeks before this, but I guess after the movie, that was about kind of like drawing a parallel between, Star Fox being in the Galaxy movie and Donkey Kong and how he was handled in the original Super Mario Brothers movie from Illumination, right? So it was kind of like, let's look at the design and, there's some interesting ways in which it's kind of slightly different from like certain incarnations of the Star Fox design, the way it's like his kind of it's not the flight jacket, it's more like the windbreaker thing, and there's the different kinds of little details that John had picked up on, and that they kind of mixed and matched from different incarnations of Fox, and the sort of going back to I think something we all picked up on when DK was shown in that Super Mario Brothers movie, which is kind of like, okay, this is clearly like there's a different, like it's referencing something different here, and are we going to see this feed back into the games at some point? And of course we did, with Bonanza and, Mario Kart and everything there, like Mario Tennis, where it's just like, yes, they redesigned DK internally, and that's what the Illumination design was based on. I think he looks better in Bonanza than he does in that movie.
He looks way better.
It was clearly there was a basis there, right? It was something was going on. So it was a bit surprising to have John kind of laid that out in that video, and it's like, well, that makes sense to me. That clearly we talked about it when Johnny was on. That there's got to be some sort of bridge to something, right? That appearance in the Galaxy movie, and that, obviously that's how he looks in that movie. And then these look absolutely nothing like that. They really are not that similar at all. It feels like it's quite getting away from the more kind of anime influenced Star Fox designs to something that's a bit more, and John Redden said this in his reaction video, that kind of reminds him a little bit of the promotional puppet maquette things, whatever they were, that were on the box of the original Star Fox, for Super Nintendo and stuff. And I agree, it probably is more reminiscent of those than it is sort of anything else, but I guess the one thing I kind of feel about it is I wish it was more reminiscent of those, that they kind of just went all out and made them like just literally lean into the artifice in it and say they're puppets, like, make them move like puppets, have them kind of talk like puppets. And even though, that might be like a little bit at odds with some of the rest of the presentation, like with the gameplay and stuff. But I mean, you get things like that, like Pikmin, where the graphics are quite realistic, but the characters look like sort of, little models that a child would make. Like, I think it could work, like to have like these kind of puppet characters in a more sort of typical sci-fi, environment, CG environment. Like, I would still be, sort of all for that. And you could still show off, look at the graphic, look how sort of realistic these things look. They look truly like, puppets or something. But that's not where we are. It's just kind of a more detailed, like less anime kind of take on these characters. And I think, I've not got a problem with them or anything, but it's not like a home run for me. Like if you went all into the kind of the goofiness and the artifice of it being like a puppet show, it would have done more for me.
I kind of wonder if they tried to do the puppet thing with, the weird animation and everything, and then decided like it's not really working, and so like
it's not supposed to work though. The idea is that it doesn't work.
That's but they really didn't like the results, is what I'm saying. And so
it's conceivable. I mean, I guess the other problem is that if the chief strategy here is the idea of like a bunch of kids watch a Super Mario Brothers movie and see this guy and then want to like follow that up with this game that becomes available not terribly long afterwards. Maybe the puppet thing just would have been a bridge too far in terms of, they're not thinking about, old, shows from Thunderbirds or,
sure.
Similar. There was something similar in Japan. I can't remember. I'm struggling to remember what it was called now. So maybe, that was the other thing. But then, if you were just worried about that, surely you would have gone with a more, orthodox, like, recent orthodox sort of design for the characters that more closely resembled how Fox is presented in that film, and just play it safe that way. So it's kind of interesting in the way. In some ways, this seems really well coordinated with the cadence of the movie and all that, but then the actual presentation is not as much in lockstep as you might have thought.
Sure. I really like this these designs actually. And I don't I know the puppet thing keeps coming back, but I don't have a particular nostalgia for the SNES box art. I don't know, it's not really part of my childhood history, I guess. I don't know, I think it's hilarious. Like, quite frankly, because they look more realistic. I was not prepared for Slippy. Like, because I saw on the Discord people just commenting, like, this looks so awful, and, like, I started watching it after seeing that commentary, and I was like, okay, well, the gameplay seems fine, and then I see the characters, I'm like, I don't hate this, and then I see Slippy, and it's just...
Slippy should look like shit because Slippy is terrible.
And he does.
I mean,
that's great.
Honestly, like when they go to Solar, like Slippy don't fly. I'd have been like, yeah, Slippy don't fly closer. You should definitely. Oh no, Slippy's dead. Oh geez, what a shame. Anyway,
I was like, Slippy's still annoying. That tracks. Yep. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah. Do you do anything good? Nope. Okay.
And I frankly, I think that the cutscenes look cool. Like I've seen a lot of people comment like, well, I don't need like story skip cutscenes in my arcade shooter, and I largely agree. But at the same time, like when they showed the prologue video, I was into it. I was like, wow, this looks, kind of epic, kind of Star Warsy, space opera-ish. I'm into
kind
this.
Of Star Warsy?
Well, yeah.
They stole the first opening riff of the music at the start of the video.
Sure.
It's the exact same arpeggio.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm
yo,
with
Disney's
Guillaume,
going
though,
to call
they
you
know
people.
what they're
I thought
doing.
it looked really cool. So
So
yeah,
do
I thought the whole
Disney's
thing looked really
lawyers,
good.
man. Oh, that was way too much. That was way too on the nose. I was like, you're going to get a call.
Yeah.
You're going to get a call. What are
I
you
also
doing?
feel like, Star Fox is kind of like Metroid, where it's like the people that are into it are really into it, and if you mess with it or you change anything, you're going to hear about it. So,
ultimately, my issue with this thing, like, whatever, the cutscenes are going to be skipped. Is that, like, we didn't need another Star Fox 64 remake. We just don't. Like, we just fucking don't.
yeah,
And
I agree with that.
This is the inescapable reality of this game. It doesn't need to exist.
I do agree with you. We went through the options of this, of what,
and even our joke options were better options than
we
this.
went through some of the options with Johnny, where we spoke about it then, and that what the thing in the movie could be a bridge to. And there's no doubt, from my perspective, that this is the least interesting thing that it could have been.
We explicitly said, I hope it's not a remake of Star Fox 64.
Because it is the least interesting thing they could have done. Now, I don't think that necessarily means it's the worst thing they could have done, because of course, if you could take a risk in terms of doing something different that doesn't pay off, and the outcome would be, if it doesn't pay off, if it goes poorly,
Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet 2 would have been worse, but it would have been funnier.
It could have, but I don't think it's much of an argument against the fact this is the least interesting thing they could have done with it. But a problem is, obviously, we live in a time where, things are remade without any particular need to put it in that language quite regularly. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, even Star Fox Zero, which is not a remake of Star Fox 64 in the same way that this is 10 years old and came out on a system and sold as many copies such that it may as well have not come out at all. And then, we're going back 15 years to the last
Tree
time.
Falls in the Woods.
At which point, many of the people, who presumably are at least part of the target audience for this thing, would have been kids that were taken to the Super Mario Galaxy movie by their parents, were assuredly not alive at the time that it was last released.
That's the thing. Like, you could point to the NSO release, but now we're, it's very, very, very old. And like, I think that this remake is more exciting than pointing to, the NSO and say like, well, you can play Star Fox there, kids. Like, I don't think that would have happened, like maybe some kids would have checked it out, but like, they want to sell a product here. They came up with this. It kind of looks better than I thought it would. I will play it probably once if I can find it at the library. It would be nice to get, like, I'm really still like crossing my fingers that they have an ace up their sleeves or something, like at least like a playable mission.
It comes out in a month.
I know, but like, yeah, I guess if they had anything new to show, they would have showed it. But
quite possibly.
I'm still hoping that the Nintendo that hid the Deep from Tears of the Kingdom, like I'm hoping that they're doing something similar for this.
Well, I mean, look, we've got to mention the multiplayer in terms of, on the one hand, yes, Star Fox 64 had multiplayer. Did it have, what this seems to be offering? Well, no. I mean, it was just a sort of, simple deathmatch split screen thing, whereas this is a sort of squad-based, team-based, kind of affair with different scenarios for different stages in terms of sometimes you're kind of earning points by bringing back loot, others seems to be somewhat different. So that, to me, is going to be one of the key parts that I'm going to be looking for when it gets reviewed and stuff, is like, is it possible that this multiplayer actually could have some legs? Because that seems to be where the novelty, any novelty that is to be found.
Are those legs amputated and cybernetic, or have they retconned that?
But like, somebody was in the NWR Discord just the other day complaining that modes in Kirby Air Riders, which is not an old game, are dead. Online modes.
Yes, this is the issue, isn't it? Yeah, what are the odds that it can persist in some of these cases? I mean, I got to say, Kirby Iron Riders doesn't do itself all the favors in the world with the way it kind of it doesn't like congregate players together as much as it should, because it kind of encourages people to like make their own paddocks and sort of essentially, people come together that way, which is not really, the best for, let's aggregate all the people that want to play, let's say, Top Ride or just Air Ride mode together in one place, which is kind of more probably what you need, when obviously City Trial seems to be, kind of the main event for a lot of people.
Right.
So that's easier to get games for. But the other modes, you could really use with, maybe like, okay, anybody that really wants to play these, we need to get them together. But instead they're probably like scattered across like individual paddocks and stuff. So that, some of that is the reality of how popular is your game. How, in the first video, how many copies does it sell? And then you've got how well does it maintain engagement? And then, all that, but also it's like the fact that they do have different modes, the way they handle matchmaking, Sakurai, like there's responsibility to be apportioned with that.
Sure.
Maybe you could get around a bit better with something like Starfox, where you may be thinking, yes, this is, maybe it's not really regarded as the main event, so we certainly don't want to split the audience that is trying to play it.
You're right, but like, I am really reticent to say, well, yeah, it's a remake of Star Fox 64, but maybe the main event's the online, because it ain't gonna be.
Well, no, I wouldn't say it's the main event, but it's one of the main things I'll be looking for in reviews, because it's obviously the single player game. They've said it. The layouts are the same. I mean, there's not that. I mean, certainly I will be interested to read about there's certain things like the graphics, how well they sort of have adapted these scenarios across the entire game, but you can look at footage for yourself. These new achievement type things that they've got for the challenge mode, which is kind of building off where we left off with 64 3D, right? 64 3D kind of had stages as separate challenge kind of modes, where you could get not just like the medal that you would get in the campaign, but you could get like a better medal. I think it was silver and gold, like for higher strata of high scores in those, and just have them as separate things, right? Because of course, you've got to get to a certain level before you can even play it when you're doing the campaign. And it seems like they're building on that now to not only have the high score kind of challenge, but also that is kind of a slightly bespoke version of the level. Like there will be different things in them that then can be something that feeds into a new type of achievement. It's got these various, the example they showed was like, I think, what was they call it? Sort of like a the lone red Shogun trooper or something in one of the levels. Yes. So, so it's like maybe add in little wrinkles and make those achievements, or some of them might just be achievements you could do in the campaign, but you've got to do it here to earn that achievement, part of this high score thing. So there's things in that realm that we'll be interested to read what the reviewers think of them. But for the most part, I know that game very well. They can't tell me that much. I don't already know. So the multiplayer is going to be the bit where it's like, okay, how well does this work? Reviewers, you can't be psychic, they can't know how well the game's going to sell.
Sure.
And but they can at least give you a sense of like, hey, is this fun? Is this something that could actually have some staying power? That's what I'm be interested to read.
I mean, like, is it really that hard for them to have added a few more stages so we could have more than one Blue Marine and Landmaster stage? Like, there's
two Landmaster stages, but there's only one of the sub. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Three Landmaster and two of the sub. Like just to create a little bit of extra variety in the gameplay. Like, cause it's entirely possible you can play a lot of Star Fox 64 and never get to the Blue Marine stage, because it does require you basically do the maximalist thing the whole way.
It's the hard route, right? It's kind of tucked away up there, basically. So you got to achieve some of those sort of branching points where you've got to get the good outcome just to get up there and play that level. So
right.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was always kind of a little bit of an interesting choice, I guess, back then. But, like the Landmaster, you were pretty much guaranteed. I mean, I think that's largely how they did it, right? It was like, well, if you're just sort of on the very easiest route, you were going to play, if you were on the easiest route, you were going to play the one Landmaster level in the desert. If it was kind of the mid route, you were going to play the Landmaster on the train. And if it was the hard route, you could, play the submarine. So it was kind of like one wacky stage for each brand. Although it's not as discrete, like the original Star Fox and Super Nintendo, those routes were entirely discrete.
You picked them.
It wasn't really any kind of branching. Although there was like the black hole thing, but I don't think it really skipped routes or anything.
In 64, you could jump routes if you hit the
so
warps.
It's like you could be on the one path, but kind of get back on the other one. Like, I guess I get, generally speaking, it was like one oddball stage for each kind of route to Venom. Not necessarily a huge amount of variety. I think for me, the train Landmaster stage was easily the best of the three. I always thought of the kind of oddball level. But
that's classic.
Hit the brakes! Yeah, no,
Yeah, but
yes.
If you could have had something more of that caliber, I certainly wouldn't say no.
Yeah, like it just if you're going to go through the effort of reskinning this entire game, of developing this new characterization of these characters, going through all this trouble, like, you're telling me there's nobody at that company who's capable of looking at the stages that exist in Star Fox 64 and saying, I can make 5 stages that are of this quality. Because we've all played the Solar stage. It kind of sucks. Like, they're not all unmitigated winners. Like, it wouldn't have been that hard to go like, hey, we've added 5 new stages. It's not a lot, but it's something. It just feels
or even perhaps touch up some of the ones that are there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there are some minor changes. I mean, I think John Redden, again, his video sort of maybe thought he spotted some kind of perhaps really subtle revisions just in the footage that was on show there. But I mean, I can think of like with Castlevania, what do they call it again? The Dracula X Chronicles, the version of Rondov Blood on PSP. Like, there was one stage, it's a great game, Rondov Blood, but there's one stage that was just kind of like blatantly unfinished. Like, it was just like hacked together from other background assets and didn't have a boss. Like, so when they came to that stage in like most of that game, I mean, it's got like polygonal graphics and stuff, but it's a pretty straightforward remake of Rondo, except for the polygonal graphics, what were then like modern graphics, right?
Right.
But, when they came to that stage, they did actually say, look, let's give it a more like unique theme and actually give it a boss and kind of, touch it up in that way. And, crucially, they gave Dracula a third form, which that game really needed, because Dracula is like a weird anticlimax in that game, because a lot of the bosses are really quite good, and then it's a quite uninspired Dracula originally, and then they gave him this ultimate form that was way more difficult and complicated. So, they identified a couple of weaknesses there and actually embellished them. Now, I don't think there's anything in Star Fox 64 that's to the level of like, we just haven't put a boss at the end of this.
No, Solo's just not a fun stage.
But maybe there's room. Theoretically, I think there's room to maybe tighten some things up or improve some things. But I don't
think that's enough for a remake of a 30-year-old game.
That's happening, but it's. Again,
the second time!
To refer to John Redden's video again, I think, it makes a pretty salient point in that, to maybe drawing some comparisons with the development history on Metroid Prime Remastered. kind of being a prelude to, the actual version of Metroid Prime 4, that Retro were working on. And then you can also look at what happened with Mercury's team, like doing Samus Returns before they got to do Metroid Dread. It's kind of conceivable that this is at once both, something that's a quick project that's kind of convenient for the purposes of getting something out in the early stages of the Switch 2's life and synchronizing that up with the movie, coming relatively close after Super Mario Galaxy movie, but then also perhaps some sort of trial run for whoever the development partner might be for, if this is successful, does it lead somewhere else? And I guess that's the problem. It may never lead anywhere else. And then this is all you get out of it. But
we had that same conversation with Starfox 64 3D. We said, well, this could just be the lead up to them.
Well, exactly. And I mean, look, another thing that's kind of relevant, I kind of feel like in terms of the time period thing, again, 10 years ago, Star Fox Zero could have been a very different game. I don't know whether it would have succeeded, because the environment for it to, like, you could look at something like Splatoon and say a qualified success was possible late.
Sure.
For Wii U, but it was extremely difficult,
Yeah, and they launched 2 games.
With God as well, yeah. So,
yeah, and neither of them were successful.
Well, I mean, God was sort of sold separately, but also
you
a pack-in.
You could buy it separately if you wanted, yes.
Yeah, so, but I mean, the point is, that was a tough environment. It's also worth mentioning 3DS, coming out in that first year, that was a tough environment. It was no great shakes in the first year, because of course that's why you had to have the price cut and the ambassador program and the crisis,
fucking ambassador.
The sort of crisis plans, swing into action where we've got to get, the new Super Mario Brothers 2 fast tracked and all this other stuff happening. So, I mean, this is probably the healthiest environment that a Star Fox game would have had to launch into since Command. That's 20 years ago. So.
Yeah. I mean, I guess part of the reason this frustrates me, there's a few. Like, one is, I think Star Fox Zero is a mess, personally. Like, there's things about it that are good, but like all the new ideas they brought to the table, I feel like are bad. Like, they are, at best, the new ideas don't make the game worse. Like, I don't feel like any of them raises to the level of like, oh, this is a dramatic improvement over the Star Fox franchise.
Yeah, my thing with that is always, I think it made the all-range mode much better, but all-range mode was not my favourite part of Star Fox. So
maybe I thought all-range mode was fine.
A lot of people don't feel that way because a lot of it depends on how well you get on with the controls, right?
Yeah, and I hate the controls. So to me this is just a mess.
And that actually does bring up an interesting point that I saw there, because of course, what did Star Fox Zero's controls do? Right? Well, they divorced movement and shooting. Which you typically with Star Fox, right? Those things are what you have to move
in an airplane with the gun
to be able
to
shoot
to the airplane.
No, I enjoyed Star Fox Zero, and but have you ever wanted to decouple where you're aiming and what?
No,
where you're flying. Like in the Star Fox, like Sin and Punishment, yes, because it doesn't matter where you're. Like you're a dude, you're not a ship. Like you're
holding a gun.
Yeah. But in Star Fox, like it makes no damn sense to me. And
I think where it helped with the all range mode in particular is the idea, like when you're doing kind of like when you're sort of attacking somebody, like there's that sequence where you attack like a big, almost like a Star Destroyer thing, a cruiser type shit. And it's like you can kind of circle around it and fire into that circle and target certain bits. That is far more interesting in an all-range setting than the simple Star Fox 64 stuff of just, fly at something and shoot it. I do feel like it added something.
Yeah, I do remember thinking, like, wow, that's one of the best parts of Star Fox Zero. I'm really enjoying this. That basically Star Destroyer stage. But outside of that, like, I don't know, like, it takes away from the feeling of dogfighting. Like, it would make sense, and yes, in the remake, you can play 2 players, so it makes sense that you have a gunner, but they don't make it look fun. To
no,
me,
well, that is what I was going to come on to, is the fact that they show the mouse controls, right? And then they sort of say, first of all, with you can use mouse controls, and they show it from in the cockpit view, and you can see that the person is like moving the cursor, and then the ship is moving in the corresponding way. So movement and shooting are still coupled. Whereas then when they say here's co-op, that reticle is just moving all over the place with no relation to...
You've turned it into a Wii pointer shooter at that point.
You kind of turned it into co-star mode, right? That's what it, with Galaxy, but obviously we're much more active rather than just the odd star bit for a stray enemy that the other player, it might, you fear they might just wander into them or something. You're going to be very active there. But yeah, I do wonder, like, that just... It really changes it, right? Because a lot of the bosses and stuff are based around the fact of like, if you're going to hit their weak point, you've got to sort of stick your neck out to where it can hit you with a big laser bit. Well, if you don't have to do that anymore, isn't it just going to be ridiculously easy? But I mean, it's probably a kind of parent and child mode to a fair degree. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Like, even Space Harrier locks the shooting to the character. Like, and that's 40 years old.
That's like, if it's the Space Harrier, that's like the whole game, right? Is the fact that, you kind of, the enemies are constantly, kind of honing in on you, and you've got to pass across their face to be able to shoot them. So it really creates this situation where you've got to like constantly cycle. Right, you're just sort of circling and all that. You can't stay in the same place because the fire will hone in on you, but you can't just kind of hide from them because you're never going to kill them, right? So it's this constant process of cycling to avoid fire and get your hits in where you can.
And it is pretty close to Genesis, and I don't mean the system. I mean like the Starfox DNA. It's not the beginning. There are games before it, but it is you're getting closer and closer to what is the seed of these games. And like, I don't know, I think it's, I'm so incredibly, like, the only thing about this besides the conversations, they made Cat ugly, and my response is, good, she looks like a cat. Stop fetishizing her, please. Thank you. Because they mentioned they made them more animal-like. It's like, good, that's good. They should be. That makes them more interesting than being vaguely animalized humans. Is the fucking VTuber shit they put in there where you can map your movement onto the various characters and have them replace your face in the...
the bit that really got me about that was the idea of like, I mean, this functionality, exists within this game. It's just simply Starfox. Which is going to be annoying. The fact that it's like it's a remake of Star Fox 64, but it has the title of the original Star Fox.
Yeah, this is
again. Some people consider 64 a remake of that anyway. But yeah, it's really
we are getting into what is the name of the Stallone franchise now?
The Rambo.
Rambo.
Yeah, we're getting into Rambo territory here.
First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3. Don't know what you had to... Yeah, but
what's the problem?
The snake is having a very enthusiastic munch on his own tail with that. But what I loved about it was the idea of, yes, the functionality exists here, but through the magic of game chat, you can inflict yourself on people playing other games.
So John, this is why you got pinged at the thought of one of us being Pigma Dengar chatting while someone else is playing something else entirely.
I'm just going to run color commentary, as Andrew.
Why do you suck at this? Why do you suck at this? Why do you suck at this?
Have you considered
Uncle
sucking
Andros,
less?
this guy sucks ass! Just nonstop. But then it was a quest for, like, what's the Switch 2 game that having Pigma in the bottom corner watching you play and commentating on it is the most, like, thematically jarring? Like, what's the game that supports game chat that putting Pigma there is just the stupidest thing possible? And like I'm kind of rolling around on ideas on that one. I think
all games support game chat. Like you can just talk to anyone playing
yeah,
anything.
There's no limit to that, is there? I mean,
all right.
Obviously,
so
stuff like game share through game chat. That's a a functionality thing, and this does have that. So that can help with the multiplayer bit thing a bit, I guess. Mm-hmm. In terms of being able to draft people into your squad, perhaps.
Can you game share Switch 1 games? Or like a game chat Switch 1 games?
Well, you can obviously with the game share through game chat thing, you can, kind of do it with people who just have Switch 1s, right? Like they just get a video feed.
The goal here is coming up with the dumbest thing that I can be a Starfox character yelling at someone playing, and I think it's Moomin Adventures in Moomin Valley.
Especially the sort of the very sort of detailed animal characters that this particular
Moomin
Starfox,
Troll, excuse me.
Yeah, this particular iteration of Starfox provides is so much at odds with the sort of elegant cuteness of Moomin animation that it's like
learning about death in Moomin Troll Winter's Warmth while Pigma over there is laughing at you for getting the squirrel killed.
He's a big shit talker. Everybody knows that.
You fucking kid got that squirrel killed. So that's the dream. That's the only thing of value here. That's the true dream. But then this also opens up the prospect of like, what other fucked up franchises can do this now that we learned this is an option? Like, are we like, why can't I do this with Talking Flower? We already know Talking Flower is important enough that I can buy one and put it in my house. Why did Bell Bell Park? Why did that not come with the ability to be the talking flower on someone else's screen?
Well, to be fair, I mean, Wario, Waluigi, I mean, they're the kind of characters that you could shit talk people in a VTuber-esque sort of mask through game. It feels like it's opening up a dark path, to be honest.
Oh, it's the best. This is the most interesting thing about this game to me, because it's like there's so many stupid, wonderful, awful ideas that are here that I can harass John with all of them. Like this, John, you're going to get a game chat message one day, and it's going to be me as Andrew and just keep yelling Uncle Andros at you constantly. It's going to be awful, and you're going to hate it, and I don't care. But like the game itself is, we explicitly called it out. Like we said, God, I hope it's not that, and it is that. John, I know you and Guillaume weren't here. There's a chance Guillaume heard it. I know there's no chance you heard it. The thing we ended up settling on is a game where you're hiring mercenaries to deal with all the bullshit that happens in the Lilat systems, and you're like penny pinching. You're like, I guess I'll just hire Slippy because the budget's running kind of tight today.
Well, John was here for a bit for that, because we had...
that's right, you're right.
When Johnny was here, we was talking about the Starfox business simulator, whereas it was when John was here...
You're right.
We were talking about... You challenged me to come up with a game for General Pepper, and I came up with lobbying and building up the military-industrial complex.
Or letting the enemy through one time to get more budget.
that was expressly you. I'm not taking ownership of that.
I didn't hear anybody say that was a terrible idea. But
sometimes, you're right. Sometimes you don't have to point out that something is self-evidently terrible. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I think it's genius. But the idea of like, anything you could come up with is more interesting than this. Like, you can't argue with it. It was the least interesting option, and that's what it is, right? Because a patently bad idea is more interesting.
It's more interesting. No, it is. Even if it had been something that was just like a totally different genre, or various things, it would have been more interesting. Why are they making
a Star Fox fashion game? What the fuck?
As we said, the problem, as I see it, is very much one of and again, John Redden talked about this in his video, that to a large degree, it's not aimed at us that much, even if it's one of these things where some of the people who buy it will be people who are very enthusiastic about the game. It's a classic. They loved it when they were a kid. They want to buy a version of it that looks nicer and has some embellished, kind of narrative elements. But, to a large degree, it's trying to just reintroduce Star Fox to a new audience because it definitely does need it. Because, as we said, it's been 10 years since a game that came and went without creating any kind of ripples at all. And 15 years is an awfully long time for games that are aimed at a younger audience.
Let me raise a counter argument to that then. That makes me feel like this is kind of a mess. Shouldn't it be a Switch 1 game then?
I think it's an option, but I think this is where the two sort of the line that they're trying to straddle here makes it a little bit awkward, because another thing we said, I believe when Johnny was on, was the fact that, one of the reasons why, kind of Star Fox games have run into more trouble over time with Nintendo hardware is because they are, very much of that lineage, even though they've never actually an arcade game, obviously. Although, I guess, was there a thought that there might be one with that whole Triforce thing with Assault at some point?
I want to say that the Namco game is built on the engine that was Triforce compatible.
Yeah, so it's like, there was, I don't know, there was
GameCube, so yeah.
With F-Zero, the F-Zero AX was a thing that happened, it did get the arcade game there, but, the point is, it's very much arcade sensibilities, and it's very much the raison d'etre is we show off some new tech shit. It's cool.
Right.
You are impressed. That's the real, reason to be. That is the real thing that powers Star Fox. It's, not as much as clearly Mr. Miyamoto is attached to the characters and stuff. That was always, the reason for Star Fox to exist. And when Nintendo sidestepped the tech race, and left it to Sony and Microsoft to go and be as cutting edge as they could be with the HD generation, Star Fox kind of lost a lot of its purpose, right? And so, I guess in some ways it feels more natural for it, that it comes back now to say, oh, hey, we talk about it, that launch window, and this is stretching it a bit because it's right on the anniversary of the thing coming out. But that's the thing, you have new hardware, you want to show it off, people are probably relatively more willing to give remakes, a go at that time because there's not necessarily that much exclusive software. Maybe that's the perfect time to just say, hey, here's something that's just pushing the graphics and pushing the tech and, not necessarily going to be the longest game, deepest game. You'll play it for 1,000 hours or anything, but people are willing to give this a go in that immediate launch period. We used to see it all the time, racing games, fighting games, they're not going to be things that have campaigns that go on for many, many hours, but they show off the tech. They can be relatively quick to develop, and, you put them out in that launch window. So in that sense, it kind of makes sense as a Switch 2 game. If you're talking about reintroducing it to the masses, it makes more sense as a Switch 1 game. And so that's where, the line that they're kind of trying to straddle here, where they're trying to do both at once, which is, support the Switch 2 in its first year of life, but also capitalize off this whole Super Mario Galaxy movie thing, don't quite go together that well. I think, especially if you weren't, I think it would have been better earlier for the Switch 2, you know what I mean? Because if you weren't worried about syncing it up with a movie, I think if it's earlier, people are more willing to give it a shot, even if they're not really, attached to Star Fox or anything. At this point, there's more stuff to play on Switch 2, especially with more of the third party stuff coming online. I just wonder if people are going to be too wrapped up playing, these long, big, third party games or whatever to even give something like this a shot unless they're really already a fan.
It also gets kind of to the question I had, which we've had for a little bit now, about what are they going to be making next? Because at the moment, I would hope that the things we're announcing would be a new game, not a remake. You said it. We're basically a year into the system now. I would hope they would have had it's not like it's not like Switch 2 jumped out and surprised them. They built the fucking thing. They knew it was coming. They had time to make sure they were in a good place. It would have been really cool if this was literally anything else.
Yeah, I know, and that's where you wonder, like I said, whether John Redden's point about it being some kind of test run with the development partner is interesting in terms of maybe they just didn't have the level of confidence to say, we want to do an entirely new thing before, and I mean, this sits somewhere between the two examples that he discussed in terms of obviously Metroid Prime Remastered is just a remaster, right? Like it's really, really kind of straightforward. And then on the other hand, Samus Returns, that's more like what we were talking about earlier on with like the modern Resident Evil remakes. Like, okay, yeah, it takes the scenario of Metroid 2 of like you go into the Metroid home planet and you're killing them all, but it's really different. You know what I mean? Like it is a different game in a lot of respects. So this is like in between in terms of it seems like it's mostly the same game, but clearly with the level of rebuilding graphically and the cutscenes and the multiplayer and all that, there's more of a novel element than there was with Metroid Prime Remastered. But still, it may be a case of because Nintendo is not forthcoming with who their development partners are on such things. We don't know. And that's going to be one of the most interesting aspects, I think, is, who is it? Is it somebody they have a long history of working with before? Which, obviously would be true in the Retro example. They did, but they hadn't made a Metroid Prime game in a long time. So and a lot of talent had left the studio. Yeah. Or could it be, a partner, as was the case with Mercury Steam when they did Samus Returns, that they weren't that familiar with the first time. So those sorts of things, might help play a role in explaining, why they would be more comfortable doing a kind of safe, let's get on base kind of a project with a new partner, and in terms of reintroducing the IP to the audience of today, before you try and sort of swing for the fences. Of course, none of that really changes the fact, for us, that it's the same game and it's just not that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like this, I get that they're trying some like reintroduction thing or what have you. I feel like if you want to reintroduce the game, you're going to have to do it in a way that attracts some degree of attention that I just don't think this thing is going to be able to attract. I think the fact that it is the same game is going to fundamentally make it less eventful, and as a consequence, it will be less covered, for lack of a better word. I
would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, look, I do think it's dismissive and kind of reductive to say that Star Fox Zero is just a remake of the 64.
Sure.
But like I said, as we've said before, it does owe a lot to the game. There's just no getting around that. And then thought if we're saying, 20 years back to Command, if you did have something that was, you could almost, they probably would not acknowledge it as such in like marketing explicitly or anything, but, fans, enthusiasts will kind of do it for you. So this is the first kind of more novel Star Fox game in 2 decades. It probably is going to generate quite a lot more buzz. What that actually amounts to, I have no idea. I don't know how. I'm kind of surprised I'm surprised they cared enough to put him in the fucking movie in the first place, let alone that anybody's going to care about what comes next. Because I mean, it mattered to me because I was 9 when I played Star Fox.
Right,
and
you're right.
It was the first polygonal game I'd ever seen at home. And I was still pretty young when 64 came along and kind of embellished, a lot of the things that were in that game and made them, feel like they came to life, a lot more than the very, primitive early 3D, could provide. But, I'm very old now and, they're not really, the kind of primary audience for things that are being advertised in the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
All right, we're gonna take a break here. We come back, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about it during the break, so we'll figure that out. So stay tuned. We are back. We promised you email last week. We give you email this week. Not a lot of email because Starfox and Wizardry, obviously. Wizardry took up most of that time. Went long, but we're going to do a little bit of email because we promised you email. As always, you can send your email to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. That's rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. You may have heard us mention earlier that we will be getting Xbox email addresses. We will. So when I say always, I mean up until right now. When the Xbox email addresses arrive, we will tell you. But for the time being, continue to send your listener mail to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. Our first email comes from GX, who writes, Dear RFN crew, I wanted to share a quick public service announcement regarding the Pokemon series. It has come to my attention that some players of the series are not familiar with the most effective ways to find information and guide advice. Although finding information on one of culture's largest multimedia franchises might seem difficult at first glance, information is actually widely available. For example, websites like Bulbapedia and Cerebi are independently operated wikis with comprehensive technical information for nearly every character, monster, item, and location in the Pokemon series. Fans have spent countless hours documenting the series lore and data easily accessible through their on-site search bar. Further, the few remaining game reporting outlets often dedicate significant resources to guides and frequently ask questions for major game releases. I'm sure many would appreciate the fraction of a penny per visit that they used to get before being mass scraped for training data. Although many search engines have fallen into disrepair and manipulation in recent years, most still offer links to useful information if you scroll the page slightly downward. If you want to be particularly spicy, you can even add word like Reddit to your search terms. Finally, fantastic communities such as NWR itself have knowledgeable and engaged members that chat every day. Perhaps individuals in such a community would find it personally interesting or fulfilling to draw on personal experience to discuss team build strategies. I hope this information proves useful to any aspiring Pokemon players looking for a quick and effective information on the series. Interesting public service announcement. I wonder who that's to.
Or you can just load up AI and go at it, dude.
Motherfucker!
Either
They're
or.
scraping our website.
Either or. Hey, they list the sources on there. Whether or not they're paying them, I don't know. Probably not. Maybe they are not. Maybe they have a partnership.
They're not. Because when I was getting scraped for Horace Showpony, I was not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have been.
This is true.
I should have been paid. I should have been paid for that.
In the Museum of Utterances, when I was getting scraped for Horace Showpony, I wasn't getting paid. He's right up there. I mean, beat that. I said, lay the gauntlet down to all future users of language. You are fucked.
Here's your title, James. When I was getting scraped for Horace Showpony.
I need a second. I can't even type it. All right. Anyway, hi. My name is James. I wrote an article about Horace Showpony, and for 7 months, Google treated it as fact. And I wasn't getting paid, and I should have been.
Yeah.
Honestly, we now have 2 excellent titles for this week. It's a shame I can't save one for a week. We don't have one.
Yeah.
The Rainy Day episode titles fund. So John, think about how many pennies of tokens that were spent for you to look up the right mix for Gulpin. How to EV train Gulpin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to necessarily defend AI, but it is very useful for that use case, I will say. So, and I mean, I'm not going to get into some sort of like moral, argument about what AI is or isn't. I'm very aware of all those things, and I'm also I'm aware of Cerebi.net. I'm aware of Bulbapedia. but there is also a big difference between having to go through a huge site with a bunch of just Pokemon listings versus actually just asking something that can tell you exactly what the strategy you need is.
I believe the quote is, "We don't want your morality. We just want your money." Like, all right, I have put the other email in the chat, and since you were so personally attacked,
I was,
and because
I
wasn't the one that did it. If I was the one that did it, it's perfectly valid.
I gotta point out that some additional points were made in the Discord, such as these are games literally designed to be beaten by children, and yeah.
But children don't min-max. John is trying to min-max. I appreciate that.
You know, and it's funny. As soon as I mentioned that, I said, "Man, I'm gonna get some heat for this." I knew it.
As you should. Well, yeah.
Why should I? Why?
Well,
seriously, why should
I need? Well,
why? Because I mean, is this going to be like another hate on AI kind of thing?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, why wouldn't you hate on AI? Like, do I even have to list all the problems that come from, building the giant, I can't even find my words right now. But, it's poisoning people's lives literally and figuratively.
You can say the same thing about the internet, and people use it every day.
No, you can't, actually.
Yeah, you can. You think the internet isn't poisoning absolutely everything?
When I say
social
literally,
media definitely is.
Yeah, but like they're making these giant data centers like right in the middle of like vulnerable populations or not so vulnerable populations, and just kind of destroying.
I regret my decisions.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, you should get some flack. Like there's no. Using the internet doesn't have the kind of impact that using AI does.
Anyway, part of me is screaming to have a big long conversation about the differentiation of LLM data usage and how not all uses are created equal in this respect. And the other part of me wants to get out of this conversation as fast as he can, so he's going to ask John to read the next email.
I didn't want to get into it.
I just wanted to make fun of John. I just want to make fun of John. It's important. It's important.
There you go, James.
For me
you ask for the bull, you get the horns, my friend.
I didn't ask for the bull. GX sent the email.
You sure brought it out here. So
I'm not the one who picked the email. Yeah. Don't come at me for this.
All right. Somebody did. Wasn't me. All right. So should we move on to the?
I want to take a nap.
To the right.
Can we move on to this
next
segment
email?
where James takes a nap?
I'd prefer if it was summarized by AI, but I guess I'm just not going to get that.
Do it. No, fuck it. Let's go.
Because I'm Mr. AI now. I just use AI for everything. And I destroy the world.
John
That's me.
AI Lindemann.
Okay, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
In the aggregate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I summarize emails all the time. Fuck it. Don't send me your fucking life story in an email.
Do you want me to read it, James? Or?
Yeah, I do actually want you to read the email.
All right. Chad writes, "Hi guys, if you recently talked about the rumored Ocarina of Time remake, rightly questioning what they can do to make that game feel special again and different enough to justify another purchase. I have a dumb or maybe brilliant idea. In honor of the 40th anniversary, they need to re/demake Ocarina of Time in every Zelda style ever. Every generation will be represented, including both NES iterations and obviously both GameCube versions. Not only will the game be fully playable for every generation, but you will actually be able to switch between versions on the fly. Don't like the water temple from the N64 game? Try it in Link to the Past version. Good luck racing on Epona in the 8-bit version with no diagonal movement. Do you guys have some ideas for classic games that need a generational re/demake? Can you make them stupider than this one? Thanks for the almost weekly entertainment."
So this is basically what they did with the Switch version of Dragon Quest, where they had the 2D and 3D version, and you could switch between them.
Yeah, DQ11, right? And I guess it goes back to the 3DS game was like that,
yes.
Because obviously it came out on PlayStation and 3DS originally,
right?
So yeah, that was one of the ways they kind of squared that circle. And was that maybe round about the time of the 30th anniversary of Dragon Quest? I guess
I think
in that
so,
case.
yeah.
maybe 2016 in Japan, maybe, you know, when those, and then I guess it was probably, you know, 2017 or something by the time it came out in the West. I forget exactly. And then, you know, obviously it was a relatively early Switch game, the S version that maintained the pixel art version from 3DS in there. So that is a kind of playbook. Your major anniversary, different kind of versions, and referencing different periods of the series. So it's not a bad shout.
I almost wish this email was worded a little bit differently. In that, I wish it was like, okay, idiots, now you make this game remake worth playing. 'Cause the idea of like you can play Ocarina of Time in the format of any Zelda game that ever existed. Obviously, there's going to be a bunch that end up getting crushed together because they're basically variations on a theme in terms of how they play.
Sure. I guess one thing you could do is like have the like Phantom Hourglass Spirit tracks like touch controls version of like, if we're doing a top down kind of style, right, for classic Zelda. Right. Again, some people might say a top down Ocarina of Time is Link to the Past. That's just it. But if you're gonna have top down ones, you could have top down ones with traditional controls and pixel art, and then you could have a top down one with polygonal controls and polygonal graphics and touch controls. So you kind of variations on variations.
Oh, actually, you could have two versions of the 2D top down where you have 4 buttons, or you have a game designed to have 4 buttons, but you only have 2 because it's on the Game Boy. Have fun.
Yeah, although I always found it absolutely bizarre how few of the Super Nintendo's buttons were really needed for anything in Link to the Past, don't you?
No, it is weird. Like, you felt like they could have made them more useful.
They really did not care to make it. Well, you know what I mean? It's just like, no, it's fine. You know, like, I don't think the shoulder buttons did like much of anything. There was like a dedicated button for the map, like, or something. Like, it just, it felt quite profligate. But like I said, I've said this a few times, like, Super Metroid, like, the controls in that are worse than they are on Zero Mission, and Zero Mission has fewer buttons. Like, you done fucked that up. If that's true, you've buggered it up, haven't you? But
you've done something special.
To be fair, years had passed, so I guess they had time to refine it and things. But still, you know what I mean. It just it feels like sometimes the ways in which they use those extra buttons on the Super Nintendo were so kind of like indiscriminate. Maybe that's what gave them the quote unquote confidence to only have 2 face buttons on GBA.
Oh God!
but that was still quite limiting. Like, they worked around it really nicely for the 2 Metroid games, but there were definitely other games where you would have loved to have more face buttons, especially like fighting games, for instance, if you were playing any of those ports.
It feels like the Game Boy games were designed to maximize the number of times you would need to pause and move your items around.
No, well, especially even when you're getting into, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, of course, on colour, you've still got the same limitations because you haven't got the shoulder buttons yet. But, some of those are quite complicated in terms of, puzzle solving, especially Ages. I think, it's quite complex puzzles and using different items. So there's a lot of swapping. And that was certainly something, speaking of remakes, the Link's Awakening remake, just the ability to have more items, quickly available was a big, as we say, these are, quality of life, improvement or whatever.
Running and jumping taking up both of your buttons at the same time. Just fuck you. Can't you just make these 2 things together? The idea of a game that could be remade in the style of all of the other games. Obviously, we're coming out of the Star Fox 64 remake as Star Fox, not to be confused with Star Fox. That one doesn't work super well because we've been making the joke that you could say that that's just Star Fox. But the other things that aren't that, there just aren't that many other options. Like, any of the R-Wing stuff in Star Fox Adventures is trying to be Star Fox 64, but it doesn't feel good. And and then the rest of it's on foot talking to fucking Prince Tricky, who should be turned into a leather handbag.
I do kind of like the idea of because on the one hand, Star Fox seems like one of the more doable, I think, because of the nature of a lot of it, with the rail shooting and all that. And you say, oh, hey, let's do, low poly, let's do low poly Super FX era kind of thing. But yeah, when you apply that to Star Fox Adventures, then we've got the possibility of like NPCs that look like they're from virtual racing. It's interesting.
Maybe it's just the character models, the ones that are in that you can VTube with, and they just redraw them into different styles. So, like, when you get to the Star Fox Adventure cast, you get to be the ghost that runs the store. That is a man trying to do like an old British woman voice. So he needs a voice filter as well.
It's basically Brian's mother from the life of Brian. Isn't it?
Yeah, basically. It is. You're right.
If you're talking about people of a certain age from this country, there's a decent chance it's going to be a Monty Python influence.
Yeah. It's bad. It's real bad. But there's what game could get remade in the style of other games? Mario is not that interesting because most of Mario games are just stages.
Any
ultimately.
Kirby game, because all you'd have to do is just change the look of the sprites because they all use a single button. So
I was going to say Mario Maker kind of already did that, right? So
but Mario Galaxy might be more like rendering that in different 2D styles.
Like, I had thought of Kirby, but, like, I've got an even better one. Imagine classic Mega Man games, 1, 2, 3, in the style of Mega Man 9 and 10, made decades later.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I can't. My brain is incapable of processing such wild differences into something that seems congruent.
Mm.
Stunt Race FX remade in all the style of all the Stunt Race FX. Oh shit!
Just like Stunt Race FX is like alarmingly realistic. It's just like, have you thought about how horrifying the idea of a car with eyes actually is?
Actually, another game that did this was the two detective games on Switch. I'm blanking on the name.
Famicom Detective Club, yeah.
Yeah. They also did this weird, like, you can play it in two different styles. But the funny thing is, there's a third version of one of those games for the Super Nintendo that we didn't get that art style in.
Yeah, that's right. Was it Satellaview or something? Or was it I forget. It was definitely quite obscure Super Famicom remake for one of the two.
But the music for it was available, so you could listen to all three music styles. But yeah. That's the the Super Nintendo version actually kind of slaps. Like the problem is a lot of these, Nintendo being as iterative as they are, a lot of we already know what these things we're used to seeing in 3D would look like in 2D because we've probably seen them in 2D. Or when they made a 2D game in that franchise later, they co-opted the iconography from 3D and have already adapted.
They absolutely did with Ocarina was such a big deal, wasn't it? Obviously, Ocarina owed a great deal to the Link to the Past. We've covered that.
Oh, definitely.
But some of the differences, some of the things that were more its own, like, for instance, the way they kind of took the designs for like the Gorons and the Zoras and stuff. Well, when you get to the Oracle games and Minish Cap, that's what they look like, but it's just been translated back into pixel art now, for a top-down scenario. So, yeah, that very much did happen. Ocarina was just so popular. I mean, wasn't it like the best-selling game on N64, I want to say? So it just kind of, had big repercussions, which Zelda, had been a reasonably big deal hitherto, but not the kind of thing that you would expect to be the best-selling game on a platform for Nintendo. And you could, part of that you could put down to the fact the N64 was a less successful platform than its predecessors, but it definitely changed everything about any kind of Zelda project going forward. And so you do have some of those kinds of examples of like, let's rework even like I think elements of the dungeon design and stuff. Even, of course, the dungeon design in Ocarina of Time was very much at pains to demonstrate we are in 3D now. You think of like the twisted tunnel thing in the Forest Temple, for instance. But I would say the top-down Zeldas that followed Ocarina definitely were much more puzzle and item driven than their predecessors had been in the top-down. Not that there were that many top-down Zeldas before that, but there were some, and like A Link to the Past, again, itself kind of set the template to a degree, but it was less like about puzzles and less specifically about puzzles designed around the key item that you find in the dungeon. It still had a little bit more of that, just find keys to unlock doors and it's a bit of a maze and that's it. Kind of thing. It had more of that design in there. And it was Ocarina that really kind of solidified that formula that, by the time we got through Twilight Princess, people had got a bit bored of at that point. And Skyward Sword tried to kind of jazz it up by having a more diverse toolkit for dungeons that were less based around a single item. Link Between Worlds tried to jazz it up by making it more linear, but then the dungeons were very expressly about using one item and one item only, because it might be the only one you've got.
Right.
And then, the recent games, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, sort of eschew that sort of design altogether and go for a non-linear structure with it, where it's like, you have like 5 different things to do and you can do them in any order. So, yeah, I feel like they still haven't quite got to like the happiest kind of media. I feel like there's a balance yet to be struck, hopefully. Whether that would be in this much rumoured Ocarina of Time remake, I guess it could be. Maybe it's something you could use as like a, we've been talking about sort of trial balloons and test runs a lot in this episode, for like the next big honking Zelda, I believe is the proper term that James coined. Why they could approach dungeons maybe a little bit differently than Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild did.
So I thought of something that I'm not going to do the remake it in every style that it's
Wizardry,
been in.
is that what you're thinking of, James? You could have the NES version, the FM Towns version, the Commodore 64 version.
Only every style up to the point where you actually own it, and then you've got to leave it alone.
Then you've got to pay a different publisher. It's different. So I was thinking of the Nintendo R&D 1 classic Wario. Well, I'll be honest, I don't like the Wario Land games very much. I don't like the mechanic of how they work. I don't know that I'd go so far as to say that I hate them. I just don't really enjoy them. And so I'm thinking the first one, Wario Land 3, sort of the beginning of this, because that one has the same gameplay, right?
Super Mario Land 3.
Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land, Super Mario Land. Yeah,
because there is a Wario Land 3, and it's not the first one, obviously. But yeah,
is that the one? Does that one have the mechanics of like you're basically invincible, but you still have to get like
no. The original Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, is the one that isn't like that.
Okay, all right.
And then, I should say, and then 2 and 3 are like that, and then Wario Land 4 is not, and Wario Land Shake It is not. So yeah,
right.
It's actually just 2 and 3 that have the invulnerable Wario. I haven't even mentioned Virtual Boy one, which also does not work that way. So yeah, funnily, they're quite the minority when you think about it, but a lot of the time they are the more celebrated ones. So it just kind of takes over your mind a little bit.
So I'm going to remake 2, which I don't like. But I'm going to remake it in the style of a good Wario game. Every level is replaced with the set of micro games that represent the types of challenges Wario has to solve. We're going to remake Wario Land 2 as a micro game collection. So if you go into a stage and Wario has to get set on fire so that he can pass through under a door or something as a pile of ashes and then get electrocuted so that he can turn on a light bulb and shit, you're going to get a micro game about fire. You're going to get a micro game about sweeping up dust. You're going to get one about lighting up light bulbs. Like, we're going to create micro games that represent the various screens on that level, and then we're going to chain them together. And then you're going to get a micro game about the boss of that stage that where you like try to pick the boss's nose 3 times in a row or whatever. So we're going to remake the weird Wario game into the weirder, better Wario game. And I feel like that's a much more marketable product. It's a very high concept, so I understand that people who can't see in 3 dimensions might not see the art of this vision. But this is really setting out a new vision for the franchise in a way that makes it stand out. This is the best I can come up with, guys.
That might be the only way that Wario Land comes back. I mean, it's been ages, hasn't it?
Wario Land as a collection of micro games.
Shake It was 2008. I mean, it's a long time ago.
It was in 4.3. Let's keep that in mind.
It was in 4.3. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a bigger fan of Wario Land, but I do know a little bit of what you're saying, I think, about the invulnerable Wario games. I do like them, but there are downsides to it in terms of, that sometimes the idea of like, oh, it's so generous, it's so progressive that it doesn't kill you, is kind of undermined by the fact that, but it's still using up a lot of my time to get back to where I was. And now, if you're playing these things with save states these days, you can negate some of that. Essentially, you can just say, the bit that's literally just me walking back to the start of the boss room, I'm creating a save state for that, and that I don't think you could have any particular regrets about that on some sort of, ethical level of whether you've obviated the design of the game. It's just busy work, so I think maybe some purists would still disagree. That's fine, but certainly is an option. But yeah, I think Wario Land 4 is a pretty good balance of you do have those powers, those states where something happens to Wario and then he can do something different, but he's got a health bar. And it's a bit more of a traditional kind of action game.
But my other option was 6 golden coins, but you just get to control Robot Mario. That giant stage.
Robot Mario.
That's a even shorter game.
The entire rest of the game.
You can finish that game in like 20 minutes. But I guess now with Robot Mario, you shut it down to 2.
No, you're not playing the level. It's just I'm just gonna reskin Robot Alchemic Drive.
I'm not saying
Mario.
You're only playing that level. I'm saying Robot Mario just crushes everything.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like Wario's like, oh, I've taken over the castle, and you're like, well, I'll just destroy my own castle with my giant likeness then.
Yeah, so I don't need a castle. I have a robot I can live in. You fuck.
Yeah, I know. Princess Peach. She could just build me another one.
So there's no money in this. I mean, there's gold coins, but nobody gets paid.
Yeah,
so
the money is just like everywhere. It's not scarce at all.
It's a trinket. Oh yeah. See, I like this. I like this idea of. I mean, you could just do it as like one of the boss battles in like a Goemon game. It's just that.
Yes, impact. Sure. I mean, that is something they've not done. I mean, you did have. Like in Yoshi's Crafted World, a sort of vaguely impact like Yoshi thing made out of paper plates or whatever, but that's because it was made by Goodfeel and they're the Goemon people. I don't know what the likelihood of sneaking that into actual Mario proper ever would be.
But I am referencing Robot Alchemic Drive because one, its dub has the craziest cutscenes ever. And two, it's a game where you control a mech, but you're not in the mech. You're on the ground running around to get a good view of the mech. And then you're controlling it with like a remote control, having to adjust for perspective. As you can imagine, this makes this game very hard to play. I want that, because that feels Wario as fuck. It's like, well, yeah, you're looking to the left, but the robot's looking to the right. So if you punch to the left, you're going to just completely whiff. It's just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's just be weird. I'm good for weird. All right. I'm done. I came up with 2. John, I need you to give me your Battle Clash remake in the form of other Battle Clash games.
I don't know what I would really demake. I don't know. I mean, something maybe like Tecmo Bowl or something like that would be good.
Demaked.
Yeah, demaked. Like bring it back to like Atari 2600 level graphics.
There you go.
Well, like
what would the
demake it?
Magnavox Odyssey Tecmo Bowl look like?
Yeah. Yeah, just have like 2 players and basically just a ball going back in between. Basically, go right back to Pong, pretty much, except with a football. All right,
so you just hit on an idea that I think is actually really funny. There was a game show, I can't remember what it was called now. Oh, name that tune, where it was like you would say, "Oh, I can name that tune in 5 seconds." Mm-hmm. You get to your 5 seconds of the song, and your opponent would bid, "Well, I could do it in 3." And then it's like, "Okay, 3 seconds, fucker, try it." Have like 3 game developers who, you know, can game jam out a game and go, "You're making Tecmo Bowl. What system can you make it for?" And they just keep naming older and older ones till someone's like, "All right, fucker, you do it. Make the Magnavox Odyssey Tecmo Bowl. Mm-hmm. I want to see you try." Mm-hmm. And then you just bundle in the games that they produce for those systems on a collection.
Yeah.
And they have to actually be able to run on the original hardware. Not like, "Oh, it looks like an Odyssey game." But, like, they actually made it work. I feel like that would be fucking fascinating. All right, you want to make Super Mario Brothers for the Sega SG-1000? Good luck. Have fun with that. It's not going to go well for you. Oh, I think that has some real potential for, like, seeing somebody try to conceptualize a game on hardware that there's no chance.
But then again, like, I remember when I was a kid, my brother had this little, I guess, video game, but it was like this LED, like, portable, like, basically, like, you had diodes, but you had, like, maybe, like, 20 by 40 red diodes. And they represented, like, basically there were 3 overlays, there were 3 games, baseball, football, I forget what the third one was, probably soccer. And you selected a game from the with the flip switch, and then you tried to interpret the LEDs as best as you could. Like, yeah, I guess that's a player, I guess that's a ball, it's moving. So I feel like that demake has been already made, you know? Like there's already, I'm pretty sure there's a what do you call those? Not Game and Watch, but the
Tiger Electronics.
Sure, a Tiger Electronics football game out there.
There is. There's a decent one of those that's basically run on a calculator screen for, I want to say Intellivision released it. It was like a little LCD handheld. It's basically just a calculator.
Was it the Microvision?
I don't remember if the Microvision had... I had a Microvision. I should be able to tell you this. But there was one that was just football. It was just literally like... It was like a plastic football field, and the middle of it was an LCD strip from a calculator. But I think the way that this works differently is that was a company like, we just got to make it fit. Whereas this is, you'd have like a game jam developer who has an idea in their head of like, I know how to represent this fucking game on I keep saying the Magnavox Odyssey because that's the oldest thing that pops into my head. John, give me an old console.
Oh God, the Spectrum.
Yeah, fuck it. Give me a Spectrum. Give me a Spectrum make of Mario. Because you know what the Spectrum's great at? Colors and movement.
Well,
it's awesome at that.
5 colors, actually.
The same 5 colors every time.
I think, as an aside, I think Spectrum games are the ugliest games ever in the history of video games.
They're bad. They're real bad.
They are absolutely hideous.
But, I mean, you have to remember the sharp Super Mario Special with the fucked up colors.
Man.
Coleco Telstar. There we go. Give me the Coleco Telstar version of Duck Hunt. Like, just like make that. Don't port Duck Hunt. Like, that's not what I want. I want you to take the core game and like we talked about this with the Dragon Quest XI, where it's like they didn't just try to make the PS4 game work on 3DS. They fundamentally understood that's not possible, and so they created a game that tries to be as faithful, but not replicating the experience, essentially. And so if you could take that and go like, I don't know, the Telestar is probably, I mean, that's just a fucking Pong console ultimately. But something in that vein. Odyssey is it. Odyssey's as old as it gets. Like I was trying to think of something older, but the Odyssey's like 1972. I don't think there's a.
Yeah, for a console, there's really nothing older.
Yeah, because besides like Pong consoles,
yes.
and that
yes,
like there's not much you can do there.
Yeah,
like I think Odyssey is the first cartridge console. So that's probably your when somebody drops that on the make that game, that's the point where everybody just throws their hands up and they're like, "Good luck, fucker." I'm not even going to attempt that. You win. Congratulations. Try to make that shit. Because then
trying...
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was trying to find like pictures of that toy that my brother had, but I'm discovering things like apparently Gunpei Yokoi did not invent the Virtual Boy. Tomitronics invented it well before they did.
Wow.
And,
I remember this sort of thing.
It looks amazing. It's basically, like these Mad Cats, whatever. What brand did you say? Anyway, not Game & Watch, but
Tiger.
Tiger Electronics.
Tiger did some stuff a bit like this.
But
are you looking at the R Zone?
No, the Tomitronics 3D, James.
Oh, wow.
It looks like basically a Virtual Boy, but it doesn't have its own power source. So you can see at the top that it's got like a little window so that the light can get through, just like one of those viewfinder 3D things.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's.
I have used one of these, by the way.
Ah.
Even if you have to stand under the sun.
Yeah.
And not like indirect sunlight. Like you have to get on a spaceship and go to the sun and then get out under it because it needs so much fucking light to come through that viewfinder.
So Tommy not only invented the Virtual Boy, but they invented Bucktie.
That's what I was going to say.
There you go.
That's the IP crossover that really needed to happen but never did.
Oh, that's actually a really good idea. What if it's instead of trying to remake every game in the style, a game in every game in that series style, what if it's you take a famous creator and remake one of their games with the theming of the other games they're famous for? So like, how would you get Bucktie? How would you make an MGS Bucktie game?
Well, yeah, just like agonizingly sort of detailed visuals in the style of, Metal Gear Solid 5, but for Bucktie.
It's like Snake has to, there's another Snake clone, but this one photosynthesizes like Quiet, so you have to go out in the sun rather than eat cooked snakes.
Wouldn't it be like the dude who reads your mind just go like, you've got the beginnings of skin cancer, don't you?
No, I mean, all the snakes die at like 35 anyway, so it's fine. Fuck it. Just be like, if you don't go out, literally take your PlayStation 5 outside with this attachment that is able to collect the sun.
Oh, that is what the design of the PS5 has been lacking, a solar panel.
Absolutely.
Bolt on the top of it.
So you go outside.
It's big enough. That's why it was so big, Greg. It was a part of the long-term vision.
Recharge your snake. Then bring your PS5 back inside so you can play it some more until he gets hungry for solar radiation again. See, I think we're on to something here. Honestly, I think Kojima might be willing to work with his old partners again just to make this vision reality. What if he could get Norman Reedus to be solar powered is what I am asking you today.
Maybe he's already...
Gentlemen, make your...
Gentlemen, I propose to you like it's a surgeon symposium in 1837. Gentlemen.
Gentlemen, charge your Reedus is what I was trying.
Gentlemen, charge your Reedus. You, man, wow.
Yeah, that's another bit of Top episode. Jones throat craft. They've really on a roll in this episode.
Throat craft. Jesus. So basically now we're having 3 different versions of the podcast that we're gonna send to, like different titles for different listeners.
There we go. Yeah, customized podcast experience.
Let's clue this shit.
It was true, yeah. The different endings of Clue back in the day.
Killed John as the episode.
I was thinking, magazines when they had like alternate covers. So some of them would have like a limited alternate cover, but yeah, the Clue also works.
I like the idea of like, okay, Miyamoto, you have to make a Star Fox game since you love him so fucking much in the style of Mario. We've already seen in the style of Zelda. It sucks. Let's do it in the style of Mario now. Let's do it in Star Fox platformer. Fuck it. You get to the end and you just have to stomp on Andros a bunch of times. Be more original.
Because I'm a little bit surprised there's not an amiibo tie-in with Star Fox, given how big they are on those at the moment. It feels like it would be the time for R-Wing, Landmaster. If we can have the bloody great Kirby Air Riders ones.
And they announced a plush line today in Japan for the Star Fox characters. Why aren't those amiibos?
It just kind of feels like the huge sort of surge of just make amiibo for damn near everything. That and especially that they've sort of crossed the line into vehicles. We've got the bike for Samus in Prime 4 and stuff. I am quite surprised, to be honest, because it just seems like it's always been one of those things that's probably right from the beginning. You might think, well, could they do, an R-Wing? And there was the thingamajig, the Starlink, obviously had an R-Wing set with the Switch version and stuff, but it's not an amiibo.
And there's Sakurai's Infinite Kirby Racers amiibo
exactly. They're bloody big things. They I mean, God,
they're expensive, and they created new technology for them.
The one that's coming later, that's the like Tetsuo the Iron Man version of King Dedede on the Hydra one. That is going to be fucking enormous. It's absolutely enormous. And so if you could do that, you could do an R-Wing. Come on.
I mean, we had that conversation about what's the largest amiibo, and it was either the giant, was it Giant Yoshi?
Yes.
But you got Mega Yarn Yoshi, you've got the bloody great Detective Pikachu, and you've got Big Man. They're the big ones that I can think of.
And the Guardian from the Breath of the Wild. That was right around. Yeah. I think that was the list. And then the cereal box was in there too, depending on how you want to do. Like, why aren't these fucking Star Fox plushes amiibo? And also the new Donkey Kong ones that are coming alongside it, including the one that's got her on his back, but he's frowning with a thumbs up. It's just weird.
It just seems bizarre to me. It's just like, of these two games, which do you think is more likely in general to have an amiibo? Star Fox or Pragmata? Well, let me tell you
wrong.
Which one.
Congratulations.
Actually has one.
Speaking of which, I need to buy the Pragmata amiibo. Shit.
Can you get it? I don't know. I don't think I've actually seen it on sale.
I think it's sold out. Yeah.
What does it do? Do you know?
I don't care.
I think it gives you costumes or
probably
something.
Yeah,
probably.
There's a lot of costumes. It's kind of a big part of the game.
It's the whole like I bought the Donkey Kong one just because I like that game a lot.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that's all. I honestly, I think they only made like 20 and they're all sold out.
No, but of course the weird thing about that is like we're still waiting for the Resident Evil ones. Like I think it's like July, way after the game came out.
Yeah, it's weird.
So yeah, there's all sorts of weirdness that goes on with Amiibo. But I have to say that was a little bit of a surprise with it. But maybe there will be some with this Ocarina remake though, because if there's one thing they've loved doing is giving us lots of different links. I kind of wish there would be a bit more like Echoes of Wisdom could have had some great could have had Zelda, obviously, 'cause she's the actual protagonist in that game, but like Ganon looks great in that style, and because they're all meant to be toys, essentially. They've already done it for you with the game's art design. They've translated it into something that works well as a little toy. So but that was before they rediscovered their enthusiasm for that product line, seemingly.
It's not even costumes, it's just weapons and supplies.
Oh my god, yeah, I guess the costumes were just too important.
just like every amiibo, because that game just recognizes any amiibo, and it's like, here's some shit. It's one of those where it's like, I don't really care what amiibo you tapped, here's some stuff.
I do, considering John and Gil were not here when Johnny spoke about the Ocarina remake, I do wonder, is there anything in particular that you would like to see from it? Or is it just a general enthusiasm, yes or no, about its potential existence?
God, no.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of feelings, positive or negative, towards it, right? It's just sort of, yeah. I'm very neutral. Just because I don't feel like I have like a real, I don't think I have a real fondness for that game, even though I did play it, and it's a great game. I just don't think, I feel like I almost didn't play it in my formative gaming years, so therefore I don't have some huge nostalgic attachment to it.
Is it more or less exciting than a Starfox 64 remake?
It's more exciting.
Okay.
I can say that. But
that is an interesting question, because you've got two components to it. On the one hand, with Zelda, like that series is going to flourish, is going to have products almost every year, whether or not Ocarina of Time remake exists, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas with Star Fox, it's like, it might very well be that or nothing. So you kind of, to some extent, it's like, as we talked about, it's the least interesting something, but it is something. And, that in it, if you care about Star Fox, that can be exciting in itself, just that after 10 years of just being entirely moribund.
I think part of it is that I don't feel starved for Zelda content. There's plenty of it.
Like every year you get something. So it might be a Warriors game, it might be a top-down, like an Echoes of Wisdom, it might be, DLC in some cases. But it's a major series, especially after speaking about Ocarina of Time earlier and how that was a pace setter for sales, but might not have been the biggest selling franchise, but to get to 30 million with Breath of the Wild is a whole other level of success that really I think has kind of changed how they look at the series again, and it's a brand that needs to consistently have stuff coming out, especially when they've got the movie to build up to next year, that I know James in particular is dreadfully excited at the thought of that one. I mean, I'm not optimistic, believe me, but I don't think I'm quite as pessimistic as James.
I bet that movie is going to be insultingly poor.
I don't have high hopes for it. Yeah.
Until I see what this remake looks like, I find the Star Fox more interesting, I guess. Like, abstracted the Star Fox remake, I would have thought, like, okay, I don't care for that. But now that I've seen what it looks like, I'm more interested. So now I need to see, like, are they going to make Ocarina of Time more anime or more realistic? Are they going to have, are you going to be able to, like, make your own deep fake with the face of the actor who plays Link in the movie? Like, what's happening there? Is there going to be facial capture?
I want.
Is he going to look more like the chap here that's actually in the film, or if it's been true to the original, he should just look like young Leo DiCaprio, shouldn't he? That was blatantly where they were going originally, but I guess you could run afoul of the lawyers these days.
I want this to exist less, if that makes sense, because I feel like the investment of producing this is higher than Star Fox.
Yeah,
and that's
opportunity. You got. I mean, it is an awful way of thinking, but also necessary sometimes. The opportunity cost brain kicks in, which is one of the things that's interesting about who's making the Star Fox remake. It's like, I know John Reardon was theorising potentially next level games, and then it's like, so are we getting this instead of Luigi's Mansion 4? Do I want that? And you could perhaps apply a similar logic to, this with a Zelda project. Again, it's like, well, if you could be doing something else with this time and money and the schedule, and is this what you would choose to use those precious resources on?
Right. And I don't want to play that whole last game again. It's long. Like,
yeah, that's
it's
a
not
big part
long
of it.
in the grand scheme of things, but it's long enough. If that makes sense.
I guess the thing with the Star Fox 64 remake comparison is, like, if you are going to remake that game, you feel pretty confident you know what it's going to be, and that's very much what they've shown. Is that, this is the same layouts and everything. With Ocarina, I think it's a bit more open-ended. Like, how, is this something that's closer to a remaster, or is it something that's going to be more design and gameplay revisions? But so in that case, I feel like, in the sense that I need to see more of it, if it does exist, to really kind of get a feel for how is this something I should be interested in? Because unlike John, that was like, it is literally the game I was most excited for in my life ever. It will never be topped. I just got too old and too jaded after that, right? But that game was the perfect time to be ridiculously excited about this thing that got delayed and was hyped to hell and back and was so kind of promised to be so groundbreaking and all that. So, but I played it so many times. If it doesn't make revisions, it can't help but feel like going through the motions, because it is for me, so yeah, I wonder about that.
All right, anybody else got a remake, a demake, quasi-make that they want to talk about, or are we ready to go home?
I think he's ready to go.
I think I'm good. Yes.
All right. I like that we're talking for each other now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, Greg, what's our music to end this show?
Well, yeah, kind of had to go with something Starfox, right? Even though that was not originally the plan, until it was like, whatever it was, like fucking 11 o'clock at night yesterday, and I'm just innocently watching other stuff on YouTube, and you click the homepage, and all of a sudden you see Starfox Direct live now.
It's like, what?
How did I miss this? But it's thrown everything up in the air. So it's like, okay, what's spiritually the right thing for this? Because it's pretty evident from the Star Fox Direct that it's like, yeah, it's going to be very, kind of, full orchestra recreations of the Star Fox 64 soundtrack, right? Which is something in itself that's been kind of covered before a little bit with Star Fox Assault, actually, which is not a game I've played, but, I've heard the soundtrack, and quite a bit of it is, let's do, some of those Star Fox 64 compositions, with live instruments. So, yeah, that is kind of, well, what really fits with that, because I've used some of the Star Fox Assault songs before. They showed up in Brawl and later Smash Brothers games and stuff. So I feel like I've hit upon, though, through Smash Brothers, the most spiritually appropriate one. Because for some reason, whatever it is, and it's a great song. It is a great song, but like, there's not that many bespoke remixes of Star Fox songs in Smash Brothers history, compared to other series. And like 3 of them are the Area 6 theme from Star Fox 64. So considering we're talking about the fact that Star Fox, some version of 64, or, 64 is a version of the first game, whatever you want to say, it kind of feels appropriate I should pick one of those. But this one, is actually that it does bring in something a little bit different to the table, because it's the Area 6 thing, which again, if you don't, it's the penultimate stage before venom in one of the routes, and it is great stuff. Very rousing, goes perfectly with the action where it's kind of amping up and you're just under attack by loads of enemies, and it feels like the momentum's building towards the last stage. It's great. It is great, but they've done it a bunch of times in Smash Brothers, but with this one, for whatever reason, they decided to actually also bring in something from Star Fox Command, which, if you've played Star Fox Command, you would have heard a lot of, because it's the theme when you have to take down the missile. You have to do like the kind of chasing the missiles and taking them out, like with the sort of vaguely Independence Day style thing that you have to do. So yeah, it's kind of at least, yes, it's a well-travelled song to remix, but they did put something new in there, and that's why I'm going with that one.
Cool. All right, well, Nat, it's time to go because the missiles are coming in again. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.